Hey, everybody, welcome back to another episode of whatever this is called, the podcast where words come out of our mouth in some sequential order that hopefully makes sense to at least 32% of you. I am, as always, Scott Taylor here with Mr. Steven Garcia. Steve, how you doing?
Fantastic. And totally forgot about our drafting episodes. So when you brought this up, it gets me excited. So I'm ready to go, man. How are you feeling?
Good, I'm ready for this. So we're doing another draft thing. We've done time travel, we've done John Candy movies. This time we're diving into a specific year. It was a great year, the year of our Lord, 1979, and by our Lord I mean the year I was born. Today we're drafting movies from 1979, which is honestly, it's one of the most chaotic, unhinged film years ever. You've got auteur masterpieces, you've got cult horror vibes, divorce trauma dramas, and also just an entire movie about a guy who was born a poor black child. And for added synergy, we're doing a deep dive on the Warriors this week too on Gonna See My Friends podcast. Also a movie that came out in 1979. So consider this the cinematic appetizer platter before you dive over there and listen to the full deep dive of the Warriors, which is a lot of fun. But let's get into it. Let's start talking 1979 movies. Let's go back and forth and see what kind of a team we can make.
All right, man. Who's gonna go first? Are we gonna flip for it? What's going on?
Yeah, let's flip for it. I think
Okay.
You went first. You rolled the first time. You went first. I let you go first last time. Let's flip. So I've got a coin here.
You go first.
No, I don't want anything handed to me. Yeah. Let's let fate take its course. Heads or tails? You call it.
Tails.
All right. Tails. And it is tails. You get to go again. All right. You're up. What's your first pick from 1979?
My first pick is the movie we just spent an hour talking about. It's such a great movie. We kind of covered this. We just finished, but it has that kind of campiness, but also a stylized version of gang life in New York in the late 70s, and amongst the dirtiness and the graffiti stained walls and the underground and the train and all this kind of I don't know, this is a confluence of all this stuff. I'm going with the Walter Hill 1979 movie, The Warriors, and just a fun movie. I think the acting in it is, again, it's a stylized type of movie, a lot of action, a lot of callbacks to like Kurosawa, those kind of movie makers, which I think a lot of movie makers in the 70s are often inspired by the French New Wave and those types of movies. And you see it creeping into Hollywood in the 70s. And this one, is no different. It kind of calls back to, like I said, a time in New York where it was really grimy, really dirty, literal garbage on the streets and crime at all-time high, places you don't want to go. And this takes place all at night. So, yeah, my first movie is The Warriors, 1979. I recommend you go see it. It's a fun movie.
Yeah, The Warriors, it's a great flick. And, again, go over to Gonna See My Friends podcast. Let's do a deep dive on it. But it's a solid, simple story. It's a group of 9 people that have to make their way home being targeted by everybody else in the city.
Yeah. Can you dig it?
It's there's a lot of classic moments in it. There's a lot of lore behind it if you dive deeper into how the story was made sequentially and how they fired somebody mid-movie and didn't even tell them about it. That's something we didn't really get into and Gotta See My Friends.
That's right.
In the very middle of the movie, the director was having difficulty with an actor and finally was like, I've had it. And so because they were shooting things sequentially, they were able to go, oh, you're done for the night, go home, and brought in a stunt double and just threw him onto the train tracks in front of a train.
I didn't realize that until later. Yeah.
Yeah, and then he was able to go, and then the actor gets a call that, next morning or whatever from their agent is like, yeah, you're off the movie. That is just brutal.
He went on to be in The Thing, though. When he was Windows, and that's why he was uncredited. I looked for him in IMDb, could not find him with the main cast. He's at the end of the cast list, and it's uncredited. And I was like, oh, that's why. And yeah, what a brutal way to kind of find out you've been fired.
Yeah, I mean, you hear people getting texted, "Hey, sorry, we're not going to need you anymore," and stuff like that. This guy just gets completely written out of the movie halfway through. We hear stories of actors getting written out. They start doing the movie and then they kind of recast them and reshoot
Yeah.
those scenes.
Yeah.
I don't know of any others that where it's just in the middle of the movie they're like, "Nah, let's just get rid of him. Let's just kill the character."
Yeah. Yeah. I wish we had a little more insight, or maybe we do. The documentary kind of touches on that I saw, but I wish maybe there was more of like, how was he just difficult, And then they were just like, but what was the difficulty? Was it
Mhm.
ego? Was it director?
I
I
think
don't know.
the book that I read on it, from what I remember, it was more that he didn't really see the big picture of the
Uh,
movie. Like he's like, this just seems crazy. Like this
yeah.
isn't like realistic, and it's not
Yeah.
the type of movie that it's not like a romantic kind of drama action type of
Uh,
movie that we thought it was going to be. Because his character was going to have a lot of the romantic scenes. He was going to
yeah.
be the one that the female lead was hooking up with and falling interest in with.
Yeah.
And he just didn't see it going that way, and kept having all these opinions on stuff. Finally, the director was like, "I'm done. That's it."
You're out.
In front of a train. Here, I've heard about getting thrown under a bus, but not thrown in front of a train.
All right. Well, what's your first pick here?
This draft, I'm going with my heart. I'm not going
Okay.
strategery. I'm not taking stuff that I think you're going to take that other people are going to like and choose my group over your group. I'm going with movies that I love.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
if this is out there, it's one of my top five, if not top three movies of all time. It's Steve Martin, Carl Reiner, The Jerk. I know you have never seen it. I've made you promise that the first time you'll watch it with me. It's just a blissfully dumb, good-hearted man that stumbles into wealth and fame and disaster. It's the apex of absurdist comedy right from the jump. The opening is Steve Martin sitting in an alley talking to the camera. Is like, you don't want to hear anything from me. I'm a jerk. And then he goes, "Oh, I'm not a bum. I'm a jerk." And then the title comes up, and then he's like, "Oh, my story? Okay, fine." And he goes, "It wasn't ever easy for me. I was raised a poor black child." And you're like, what is going on here? And it just starts with Naven Johnson, Steve Martin, living in this shack with his black family. He was adopted by a black family and didn't realize it until he was pretty much an adult. To which he famously responds, "You mean I'm going to stay this color?" He doesn't have rhythm. Everybody else in his household has rhythm. He just can't catch that snap and the foot tap at the same time. And then he just goes off on his own to find himself in the world. And the humor in it, it's smart. It's punching up. It's anti-racism. There's a lot of great stuff. So many great people in there. You got Bernadette Peters as his love interest. Such a good movie. Such a
What?
good comedy.
Well, this kind of plays into kind of one of my honorable mentions. It kind of sounds like Being There. Have you seen that movie?
No.
Peter Sellers. This is satire, but it kind of sounds like The Jerk, except The Jerk I feel like is more, you know, like you said, comedic, but this one is played as real, but it's pointing out the ridiculousness of kind of the world power or the world order. But it's about this simpleton, and he's just they show him at the beginning of the movie, and he's eating his cereal and he's watching TV, and he knows he'll just pick lines from like commercials or TV. Well, anyway, somebody died. I can't remember. I haven't seen it in a long time, but somebody dies in his family, and he's raised by these like nannies and the help, and so they all are fired or they're let go. But he's a man that lives by routine, and he doesn't understand what's going on. They tell him, "Oh, so and so passed away," and he's like, "Well, when is my cereal? Where's my cereal?" Because he's just so. And the whole movie is him just parroting back all these things that he's heard on TV, and he ends up this presidential candidate, and then they kick him out of his house because the owners are gone. So he's walking through the bad part of town, and he's just like, and people will stop him, and he'll be like, he'll say like this commercial jingle that he's heard, and they're like, "What?" and they'll find some whatever, and he just keeps falling upwards,
Hmm.
and it kind of sounds like that.
Yeah, there's a
Is
lot
it
of
kind of like
classic.
that?
Yeah, it is. It's you know he has a lot of innocence to him.
Yeah.
It's just a character with a lot of innocence and hasn't been on the world. He's just been in this little tiny bubble with his black family, and he goes out in the world and he starts working at a gas station, and goes there, starts working there, and one of the famous scenes is this crazy guy starts shooting at him. Just decides, picks his name out of a phone book, and
Uh-huh.
starts shooting at him, and he's hiding behind a stack of oil cans, and he goes, "The cans! He hates these cans! Stay away from the cans!" And he's running around. He's like, "More cans!" and just trying to get away from him. Once you see it, there's so many quotable moments from it. I mean, a lot of people say, Anchorman is where that all started. I go back to
Oh.
The Jerk. The Jerk is very memorable. A lot of fun lines in it, a lot of fun
Uh-huh.
scenes. And so that's if there was a movie that I had to quote front to back, The Jerk would be a very high contender there of me being able to go the full 90 minutes.
Nice. Nice.
So
Well,
I'll take 1979's The Jerk. It's
sweet.
off the table.
All right. Take that. Joik. All right. Well, my number 2 is, I came to this later, and I came to this actually probably after I saw the sequel to this movie. It wasn't big on my movie list, and at the time I was a middle schooler, so I really wasn't the film aficionado that you see before you now. So, but this one came out 79, produced by Walter Hill, and kind of directed by Ridley Scott, and that's the 1979 space trucker classic, Alien. And this one, when I came to it, like I said, after I saw Aliens. And I think my 12-year-old, 13-year-old brain was like, oh, there's an original? This is a sequel? And I saw the sequel, Aliens, as a double feature. It was Aliens and Highlander, I think it was, at the local theater in my town, a small town.
That's weird.
One screen.
The double screener there is weird because there can only be one.
Yeah, I can. And but I was just, and it was a hangout too, like that theater on Fridays and Saturday nights. I think for 2 movies it was like $4 or something, and it was a hangout. It wasn't like people sitting and watching a movie. It was, if you went to the schoolyard at lunchtime, it was the equivalent. There was no, but if you were into the movie, you sat and you watched it, and if you could tune out everybody, which I could. And so watching this Alien, I have to say that maybe this is probably the best science fiction horror type of movie um, in this period. I feel like you have your obviously you have your slasher movies, but this one had suspense. It had that creepiness, yeah, and it just kind of creeped me out for probably about a week afterward. Just it used all the jump scares, all those kind of things, but it did it in an original kind of story, sci-fi in space, which was the tagline, which it's in space, no one can hear you scream. So yeah, dark, a lot of darkness, shadows, old equipment, futuristic equipment, but looked to be like old, like it was the norm. Great effects, written very well. Sigourney Weaver was the standout. I think it kind of was the beginning of this kind of in the 80s, this kind of female empowerment type of role. I don't know. People probably call it woke now, but it was the beginning of it. It lasts into the sequel. After 2, the Alien franchise kind of goes downhill. But this is the original. Loved it. I own it, the hard copy of it, and yeah, that's my pick. 1979, Ridley Scott, Alien. What'd you think about that movie?
So would you say this is a scenario? First of all, Alien and then Aliens is the
Mm-hmm.
best sequel title, right? Like it's so simple, but it makes sense.
Yeah.
Out there, if you're looking at sequel titles, just adding a 2 to something or whatever, this is poetic, right? It's
Yeah.
perfect.
Well,
But also, do
yeah.
you think Aliens? Do you think this is a scenario where the sequel is better than the original?
I hear that a lot. I hear that argument, or I hear the kind of debate about that. I think they're two different movies. I think Alien captures the isolation. I mean, you look at space, you're on this kind of freighter that's huge and gigantic, and you have all this mining material and rock and all this. And it's just these, was it 8 people or whatever, 9 people on this ship, and the terror that happens there. And I think Aliens is more of, it calls back to, I feel like it calls back to like a war movie. And so I feel like, yeah, in a sense that I think it's one of the best sequels, but it's, some people prefer the Alien movie to Aliens. I prefer the Alien, the sequel, just because that's how I watched it. I watched it from the second one. And it has a lot of characters in it that I think hold up, and still to this day, kind of the mystery unraveling in the sequel is, and the payoff to that is excellent. And James Cameron did an excellent job writing and directing it. Actually, he wrote The Terminator. He had to wait about 9 months for Arnold to be free because he was doing Conan, the sequel to Conan. While in that break, he writes a first draft of this movie, Aliens, shows it to a couple people while they're filming Terminator, and they're like, this is great. Terminator becomes a hit. He gets to do Aliens, and there's a lot of stories about how he just did not get along. It was filmed in London, in England. Did not get along with the crew. He thought, the English have a lot of like rules, like you have to have tea breaks, and you have to have a long lunch, and the pace is really kind of slow, and James Cameron is a workhorse, man. He's just like, no, let's go. And so he really had a hard time with the crew. They did not get along. There's a 3-hour documentary on in the box set of Aliens, or Alien, the Alien box set, and it shows the things that he went through with this cast, and it's unbelievable. Like, but he's an auteur. He knows what he wants, and he's not going to settle for anything less. So yeah. I guess long story short, it's like I think I prefer the sequel, just because that's how I got into the franchise. But yeah, I don't know. How about you? Have you seen both of these? What's your opinion?
Yeah, I think. When did Aliens come out?
86.
86. So that's more of my wheelhouse there.
Yeah.
Because I would have been 6, so I probably would have seen it, 7 or 8, and been scared of it and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So this being the original one, I wouldn't have seen it until later. My movie would have been just like everyone has a Batman, everyone has an Alien, I guess, and mine would have been with an S.
Yeah. Yeah. Good call. All right. What's up? What's your number two?
All right. My number 2, another one that's probably in my top 5 movies of all time, at least top 10, but probably top 5. I'm a big Muppet guy.
Yeah, I knew it.
Huge Muppet guy. And the Muppet movie comes out in 1979. Jim Henson, Frank Oz. It's the beginning of it all, right? You've got the Muppet Show on TV, which was great. It's this blending of kids and adult humor. You've got the guest stars on there. You've got, Mark Hamill on there. You got a whole kind of Star Wars episode.
You got Sylvester Stallone.
Stallone. You got all these big names going on to this show with a bunch of puppets, making it feel that it has some gravitas to it. And then you get to the Muppet movie where it's their origin story. Of course, you go to that place when you've got this kind of groundwork set. You're like, let's go back to the beginning and show how they got together. And it just does it so well. There's so many other Muppet movies. You got the Great Muppet Caper. You got Muppets Take Manhattan. Like that's a great one just because it's a musical, right? It's there's a lot of music in the Muppet movie, and I love the soundtrack. Gonzo's song is beautiful in there for anybody that's been an outcast. It's just amazing. But there's so many guest appearances in there, so many running gags. You got Kermit going, "It's a myth." And then Lena go, "Yes." The woman, like he's saying, "Miss." You've got Mel Brooks in there. You got Steve Martin. You got a giant animal at the end of it. You've got so many good things, so many subtle lines, moving right along. Such a classic scene.
Moving right along.
with Kermit and Fozzie in the Studebaker. You know, he goes bear left, and Fozzie goes frog right. So much just good humor. It's a kids movie. Kids can enjoy it, but there's so much just grounded humor in there too. That's not playing that low level kid stuff. One of my faves.
I have a question to ask you. Have you ever seen the sun come up in the west?
Bum, 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 moving right along.
This sound. Oh, go ahead. I don't want to cut you off. Go ahead. Oh, that soundtrack. You know, when I was, I think in like first, second grade, I went to this new babysitter, and she had a daughter that was in my class at the elementary school, and I lived like 3 or 4 blocks from the elementary school. So I would go in the mornings, and this is where I kind of was introduced to kind of the new wave. At that time, it was new wave. So you had the B-52s, you had Tom Petty, and you had Springsteen. These albums, because my classmate had 4 siblings, all older. She was the youngest. So that we had this music in this house. We would play all these albums that now are considered classics. But we had the Muppet movie soundtrack too as well, and played the crap out of that. And it's an interesting thing because I think it was a huge seller, wasn't it? The soundtrack, because I feel like everybody had that soundtrack, and it's an interesting thing how it could plug into kind of the zeitgeist at the time of like all these great artists, but yet you could still listen to the Muppet movie soundtrack. And man, you brought up all the song titles, and I was like, yeah, I remember this. And it would have the dialogue to a little bit of dialogue of the movie into the songs, and so yeah, that's a great memory to think about listening to that, and it just brings me back to childhood.
Yeah, I was a teen, just, you know, big. I loved the Muppets as a kid and Sesame Street and all of that. And even as a teen, I got more into them, you know, more into Jim Henson and his work, and just into the Muppets altogether. I'd watch Sesame Street, you know, in the afternoon when we talk about going home, like in high school.
Yeah.
I'd throw it on because it's fun. It was interesting to see the puppeteering and the characters that they created there. And then just the Muppets as a whole. And I was a teenager listening to this soundtrack, loving this soundtrack.
Pop quiz. Who was the newscaster on Sesame Street?
Guy Smiley?
Oh, yes. Okay, cool. Yeah.
Yeah. There's so many, you know, and like we talked in last week's episode, you know, what movie would you make that's a Muppet themed movie? There's so many good premises out there. You could go through all the Muppet movies and talk about their pluses and their flaws, right? You could talk about Jason Segel's Muppet movie was great. The most recent, you know, it's the most recent movie that was made, right? But they've done so many iterations of TV shows, and there's always some glimmer there of something good. Just most recent was did you watch the Electric Mayhem one on Disney Plus?
No.
It's really fun. It's someone trying to get the Electric Mayhem back together and like get them famous in current day.
Oh, wow.
So trying to get them a record contract. It's just all about the Electric Mayhem. And it's
that was
like
the
6
band,
episodes.
Right?
Yeah. There's like 6 episodes. Okay. Something like that, 8 episodes maybe. But it was really good. It was very, very entertaining. They keep trying to reinvent the Muppets over and over, and for some reason it doesn't click. It doesn't catch.
Well, I tried to kind of bring this up. I was kind of inarticulate about it because what the hell? Maybe they were like Muppets, balloons, but it was just a time, you know, especially this is the same year as the Warriors, and it was just a time that people just don't understand that how big the Muppets were in the late 70s, early, you know, starting from Sesame Street, but getting into the movies and those types of things. I mean, they were huge. And it came out of this thing of like I was saying, like you had 3 networks. You only had, but the movies were huge. And movies is where you went to kind of be creative and, you know, have all this bigger productions, bigger budget. And, you know, I don't think people outside of, you know, maybe one generation below just don't know what year that is. Maybe 2 below just really are losing because we're getting further and further away, right? It's getting into the late 20s, 2020s. And yeah, I think it just gets longer, further and further away from this idea that there was a time before the internet and before the kind of proliferation of information and media and all this other kind of stuff, where now you can kind of pick and choose. But back in the day, like a movie like this came out, you went and saw it because it was like, again, it was like Jim Henson was such a big, he had such a big footprint on media, and it's a shame that people just don't see it that way. They just see, oh, it's Sesame Street. What the hell? Why am I watching this?
Yeah, it's a kids movie. Yeah, it's a kids, and that's what they get with a lot of the Muppet stuff. But there's so much humor. I think it was Muppets Tonight, maybe, when they made it like it was very Modern Family-ish. There's a lot of cutaways and interviews and stuff,
Really?
and it was just about them. Miss Piggy had a late night talk show, and so it was about Kermit running that talk show and everybody involved with it. And Fozzie was driving a car, going to his girlfriend's house, talking about, he's like, "Yeah, I tried dating on the internet for a while, but you post about you don't really want to be on there. It's a weird crowd when you're saying you're a bear."
Uh-huh.
He's like, met a lot of nice guys, though. There's a lot of stuff. There's a karaoke scene with Ed Helms that was really funny.
Yeah.
But I think
Right.
you get people that they can't get past that. It's for kids. And
Yeah.
it's not. And one thing about, a lot of these movies we're talking about in 79 applies completely to the Muppet movie. Practical effects, right? It's full of practical effects. You see them, Kermit riding a bike by himself, no puppeteer
Yeah.
or anything like that. You're like, how the hell is that done? It's not special effects. It was wires. It was people going, how can we make this happen? Kermit in the swamp, saying it's not easy being green. It's Jim Henson in a submersible underneath, cramped with his hand up Kermit's butt, singing the song. And it's all creativity. It's all, how are we going to make this work and how are we going to do it? And that's the key of 1979 movies, I think. This era.
You hit the nail right on the head, man. Like we just talked about the Warriors and how with such a limited budget and time, like you're able to be creative and you're able to have not even just be creative, but have an audience that wants to see all this stuff and can appreciate it. But getting back to the Muppets, it's like, again, people, getting back to the point of people not really understanding the significance of the Muppets and their place in media and entertainment. When Jim Henson passed away, I mean, the hoopla, I mean, what they did with not even just the people that worked with him, like Frank Oz and a bunch of the puppeteers, speaking at his funeral, his eulogy, or giving a eulogy at his funeral. But they also showed how it affected the Muppets, and there's a thing of, I think, Kermit the Frog finding out and Big Bird finding out. And it's so touching, and it's really kind of shows you the impact that Jim Henson had on a lot of people. Same thing with like Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. It was just this type of entertainment that wasn't about, violence or sticking it to the man. I mean, in a comedic way maybe, but certain scenes, but it's more about family and about the feeling of family and loyalty and all this. It was just great, man. And is there a Jim Henson documentary? I feel like there is. There should be.
I think so. I think there is. Yeah. It's the type of thing where you can't take the universe so seriously, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
the Muppets are key to that. You can't just enjoy it. Yeah, they're puppets. Yeah, they're, something that doesn't exist without a human with their, hand in their rectum. But it's something you got to suspend your disbelief there and go, yeah, this is these are real live things, and you can believe it when you're watching them. There's so much humanity to each of them,
Yeah.
and they each have their own personality. And the Muppet movie, as its original, it also had the art, right, the poster done by I forget what his name was, the artist that just passed recently. Was it Drew something, or he did so many of the movie posters that we loved, Back to the Future and all of those movie posters. And it's just beautiful. Just Drew Struzan, is it something like that? But anyways, just a beautiful locked in Muppet movie is just a beautiful piece.
Yeah. One final thing, real quick. Yeah, that movie poster art, just back in the day where things were simpler. Like you had people that actually drew these things and took time, and they were talented and amazing, and you know. Anyways, yeah.
Yeah, and it was Drew Struzan.
Drew
Struzan. He died
Okay.
just last month.
Oh wow.
But he so many Star Wars poster, so many different posters that we grew up with were
Yeah.
done by him.
Oh, that Star Wars poster. Wow, that's classic.
Yeah.
All right.
Number 3.
We're going. When this one came out, I remember seeing it in the early 80s. Wasn't a fan of it as a child because I didn't think enough things happened in it. And it just seemed like a lot of talking. But seeing it as an adult now, I have a whole new appreciation for this movie. And this is, let's see, hold on a second. Before I get into this, I want to, I think I remember who. I want to get Robert Wise. Okay, yeah, it's the 1979. It was the answer the answer to Christ. I have to get back here to Star Wars, which was Star Trek, the motion picture, and it has a very interesting look to it because it was different. They upgraded a lot of things, which I think kind of took away from the fandom of this. A lot of the fans didn't like the new uniforms. The show had been off the air for probably about 10 years, I think. And so they were trying to do a new TV series. And while brainstorming for the new TV series and hiring people for this series, they just said, let's just make it a movie. Mm-hmm. And it's an interesting premise, too. It's just, have you seen it?
I don't know that I've ever seen this one. I think I probably jumped in, around Spock.
Yeah. Well, this one the premise was that there was this thing that was kind of devouring these Klingon ships and anything that got in its way, and it was headed toward Earth. And so they call the new revamped Enterprise, who has a new captain, and they get Kirk, who's I think an admiral maybe, and or maybe he's a captain but on another ship, but it's a 911 situation, and they like, we need you to take control of the Enterprise, and it's being refurbished, and there's new stuff on it, and things aren't working as well as they should. Things aren't calibrated, and he shows up and he tells the captain, yeah, I got to take over the ship because there's an incident and it's coming to Earth, and we got to intercept it. But it's this, anyways, it goes through this it's a cloud that's going through space. But anyways, it turns out to be one of the satellites that keep wanting to say Apollo, but it's Voyager. In reality, we have two, Voyager 1 and Voyager 2, which are still going through the universe right now. But in this iteration of the U.S., they went to a Voyager 6, and it got lost in a black hole, and it landed on this robot mechanical planet, and they took it it was a god of some sort because it came from outer space. So they deify this thing, and it becomes sentient, gets to the point where it's looking for its creator. So it's coming to Earth. It's going back to look for its creator. And when it gets confronted with this idea that man had created it, because during the course of the movie, it takes control of the Enterprise. And it's just an interesting premise of that age-old question of what would we do if we had a chance to meet our creator. And I think it's really cool. I think it's really philosophical. There's a lot of questions that raise in this movie about what it is to be human, age-old question, but what it is to be kind of looking to evolve constantly, and at what point do we just accept our role as who we are. And I don't know. Just, it's a great movie now. Now I can watch it, and there's a director's cut. And yeah, I think it's a great movie. Robert Wise directed it. Not a fan favorite, but I think it's as time goes on, I think a lot of more people are resonating with it. So yeah, that's the Robert Wise directed Star Trek, the motion picture, 79.
Yeah, I knew you were going to go Star Trek. I know you're a Trekkie at heart.
Yeah,
I don't.
I enjoy the Trek. It's different than Star Wars. Is that it's just based on us, but also it brings out a lot of philosophical kind of stuff and where we are in the 22nd century or 22nd, century, and how humanity has evolved. But with that evolution comes new challenges, So it's always I love that part about Star Trek, which kind of got off base with the whole J.J. Abrams Star Trek, but hopefully it'll come back.
Yeah, it's something that can always be retooled and restarted, right? It's a premise that's can always be out there with a new crew and a new team and a new plot and a new villain, but it's always back to humanity and Earth.
Yeah, yeah. All right, what do you got for your third one?
For my number 3, I didn't get into this type of humor until I was older. I am going with Life of Brian.
No.
For my number 3. It's probably not my favorite Python movie. Holy Grail is such a classic. But this is still solid. It's still a solid movie. Cinema should still know how to laugh at power, right? And not just admire it. This is lots of fun moments. If you enjoy the movie, you can quote a lot of them. I won't go through a ton of them. But again, it's not one that I watch all the time or that I can quote from start to end. But I can jump back to different scenes of it. There's one scene where he's up in a window with a crowd of people just waiting for him to speak, and he goes, "I'd like just gonna say, one or two things," and they just all together go, "Okay, we're ready. Go ahead and say them when you just tell us both of them." And then he's just like, "You don't need to follow me. You're all individuals," and they all shout back, "Yes, we're all individuals." It's just got the whole religion thing. He's just they mistake him for Jesus.
Yeah.
And then he goes through the whole story of Jesus from there. You get always look on the bright side of life out of this, right?
Yeah.
It's just a fun comedy to watch. Like most Monty Python movies, it's a lot of vignettes. It's a lot of little kind of sketches and skits thrown together and then woven through. So you know what you're getting into, but it's a lot of fun. I'm going with Life of Brian.
Yeah, that's a good one. For me, my entry to Monty Python was The Meaning of Life. And that borderline traumatized me because I didn't understand that humor yet. Because I saw it maybe in middle school. So I was like 11, 12 years old. And didn't really understand what's with this balloons again. So I didn't really understand the humor. And I was
see what it's doing.
Is more of like I just thought it was a movie. I didn't understand the satire. I didn't understand that kind of humor. So, Life of Brian didn't the Beatles and Pink Floyd and some other people finance this movie because the studio pulled out. I want to say it was either this one or
George Harrison financed Life of Brian by mortgaging his house.
Yeah.
After EMI Films withdrew its funding.
Yeah. It's such a at that time, I mean, he had the money to do it. It's a great choice, man, because I again, like you, I don't see it it's not on my rotation of movies, but if it comes on, I'll check out. There's a couple scenes of, is that the one with Dickus Enormous or something like that? Or?
Biggest Dickus or whatever it is.
So I'll watch a few minutes of it and laugh. It always hits.
Like throw him to the ground.
It is the life of Jesus, right? Because I remember there's that scene where Jesus is doing his speech on the summit or whatever, and then it pans over and it shows him, and he's got like 2 or 3 people he's trying to talk to. So, good choice, man. That's good.
What do you got for number 4? Got 2 more picks.
Okay, so this one I just recently saw and didn't understand the hoop. I had seen parts of this movie as I was growing up, and it always scared the crap out of me. This was just on Creature Features, a YouTube channel. I think it was last week, and finally saw the whole movie from front to back, and it was incredible. Again, going back to kind of the limited budget and time, but having this great story and a great imagination, great practical effects. I am talking about the movie Phantasm. Didn't realize, I know its place in horror. There's got a couple of iconic scenes in there, and just didn't understand the kind of why it was such a great talked about horror movie. And then watching it, it was amazing because it had me like, it's one of those movies that you're like, oh, you know what? Probably this is probably going on a little too long. Probably gonna check out, change it, see what else is on, and you don't reach that point. And to me, that's what kind of is a good movie, one that I haven't seen all the way through. So it didn't get to that point at all. Maybe I was like, oh, this is weird, but then it would switch to another scene, and then all of a sudden it would be like, his hint, like there's a scene where he's passed out on the road and he just gets out of this car. He falls out of this car and he's passed out on the road. And you're thinking, oh shit, like what else could happen to him? But then, he gets up, he starts running. And then the next scene he's at home and the story is moving forward. And that's what I liked about it. It didn't have any dead spots. It didn't have any spots that kind of took me out of the movie because the whole movie is ridiculous. But it's fun. And it's also because there's this like dark humor in it. And I don't know. Have you ever seen it?
It's been a long time since I've seen Phantasm.
Yeah. And yeah. So, I mean, it was a movie that for me kind of was like, oh, I get it now. And I love it when I see those types of movies. Kind of like The Warriors, and so same year, same kind of look to it too. Really low budget, but had a really strong story. So you kind of, it kept you interested. So that's my pick, Phantasm.
Nice. Well, I'm going to zig when you zag there. Phantasm is a solid choice to add to your repertoire there. I'm going to go with Breaking Away.
Oh, interesting.
Because in a year full of war trauma, space dread, killer dwarves with flying death orbs, somebody needs to draft a movie where human beings actually care about each other. Muppets care about each other. This is human beings. It's sincere. It's funny. It hits the heart. It's not a movie that I've seen a lot, but I remember the heart of it.
Yeah.
It's a group of kids right out of high school trying to figure out their lives. They hang out a lot. They go swimming at the quarry a lot. And there's a university in town. And they never feel like they're, the same as the kids that are at the university. They always feel lower class to them. And you have the people that are at the university working there and going to it. And then you have the, average folk that built the university, like the dad of the main character. But the main character loves biking, loves riding something as simple as riding a bike, and then eventually gets into a competition against a bunch of the people that were at the college. And it's one of those stories that it's all about what can you do if you have that drive, if you just don't give up. Something that the early 80s were very known for. Those movies where it's like you're the underdog, you just got to do what you love and keep doing it, and things are going to happen to you because of that. A lot of great actors there too. You got Dennis Quaid, Daniel Stern, Jackie Earle, Haley.
You got Hart Bochner, who from Die Hard. Hans, Bubby. Yeah, one of his early roles. And John Ashton too, the guy from Beverly Hills Cop. One of the cops. Yeah, that's cool, man. I never knew that that's interesting to find out that I haven't seen this movie. I just heard about it. It has a great reputation, and I do want to see it. But that's a cool one, man.
It's right on the cusp of the rest of the 80s movies that are like that. Right?
Yeah,
where it's whether it's a ski school that has to take the slopes back from the rich people, or whatever the premise might be. It's kind of the starting point of a lot of that genre.
Yeah, well, that's a good one, dude. I think you're gonna know my second to last or last one.
Let's do 5. Yeah, let's see what we got for number 5 for you. Let's close it out.
Well, I'm just gonna go through my honorable mention and then I'll hit it. I'll do it real quick. I got Rocky 2, came out in '79. That's a big one. Escape from Alcatraz, which is a Clint Eastwood movie that, when it comes on, I still sit down and watch. Dracula, scared the crap out of me with Frank Langella as Dracula. He's the romantic Dracula. And then Being There, like I said, there was that movie Being There. But this one, It's back and forth. It was between this and the Black Hole because the Black Hole had a really profound impact on my love of sci-fi movies, and I think it began here. But this one scared the pants off me. I've said it before in some of our pods and in our Stephen King thing, but I got to go with the TV miniseries Salem's Lot. I mean, this one really scared the pants off me. I saw it in '79. I was 5 years old. And you see these movies, and it kind of defined my fear, what some of my fears in my childhood. I hated opening the window at night to look outside because I was scared a face is going to be there. And it's happened a few times with, your friends messing with you and stuff. And it's still as scary. I mean, I watch it now. Obviously, it doesn't affect me that way, but as with anything, any of these movies that we've talked about, you go and you watch them now, and maybe we were talking about it last week. Is like you understand where the scenes where it used to freak you out, and you still carry that. I think we were talking about comedies last week, but the same thing with this is I carry this. It's a movie about those who haven't known. It's a Stephen King novel about vampires that infest this small town in Maine. And it's set in the 70s, and it's a great movie, great miniseries. The movies, the adaptations that have come out lately, you just in this age of everything needs to be explained and shown really quick and get on to the next scene. It's like this is just it's not made for this. Unless it's some sort of streaming series or something, which somebody could be working on. But yeah. Have you ever seen, I've asked you this before. Have you ever seen, I think you've seen it, right?
Yep, I have. It's a commitment though. It's
it's a slow burn.
It's a lot to watch and a slow burn. You got to be feeling
because
it.
I don't think the vampires come out for for the first hour. It's just the setup. But if you know what's coming, and it's pretty cool. So, yeah.
We'll have to do an episode on location from Ferndale.
Yes. Got to break out the pictures. You have pictures, right?
Yep. Well, for my number 5, I'm going to go take your honorable mention. I'm taking Rocky 2 as my official number 5, right? Salem's Lot is fear. Phantasm is dream, nightmare. Alien is dread. Rocky 2 is triumph. It's collective memory cinema, right? If you don't feel something the last 10 minutes of Rocky 2, you want to see a cardiologist because there might be something missing from your chest. It's a sequel. It's a sequel to the original, but it continues the story. It's very similar, right? I mean, he's even fighting the same villain in it. It's
a rarity that they pulled it off that way too, because
you
but
put it
it's
on
a
paper,
testament to the writing. Yeah,
put it on paper, and it's like, okay, so who's he gonna fight? Same person. Wait, but he already fought that person. We need someone new for him to box. It's like, no, it's gonna be the same person, but we'll make it interesting. Don't worry about it.
And he did. You kind of realize, okay, he's got to win this time, and so you kind of know the way that it ends, but the way the path it takes to that end. I mean, I'll be honest. I think a lot of that movie, I'm kind of twiddling my thumbs a little bit, but if you can sit through that, and for me, it's like the first half hour, 45 minutes of it. It's for me, I have to be in the mood to watch it. But then, as soon as he starts training, and as soon as the stuff happens with Adrian, and then, like you said, the last half of that movie is fantastic. And I mean, just the emotions that I'm feeling now this one is the one that when she's watching it at home and he says, "Oh man, I did it! I love you. I love you." That's fantastic, dude. That's a great choice. It's a great movie.
It's a solid one to round out these movies from 1979. We each have a pretty solid team here. Think about each person's team, right? You get Steve as the Warriors, Alien, Star Trek, the motion picture, Phantasm and Salem's Lot. On my side, we've got The Jerk, The Muppet Movie, Life of Brian, Breaking Away, and Rocky 2. Two distinct approaches there. Those are pretty separate lists. So let's see what you all think about them. let us know. I mean, and let us know which, if you could only watch 5, which list would you watch? Who drafted the better list? I think it's gonna be me. Steve thinks it's
Yeah.
gonna be him. I think it all depends on which way you're feeling that day, because you got one side that's kind of the uplifting kind of movies, and one side that's kind of the um,
Kind of
darker
meat and
kind of
potatoes.
meat
Yeah.
and potatoes. Yeah. So let us know. Instagram, YouTube, anywhere you can send us a message. We're happy to read it and hear about your thoughts on these movies. Would you have picked someone different, a different film? Would you have swapped something out? Let us know. We're available. Let us know on the Instas and on the YouTubes and all the places you do social media.
We're
Other than
available for parties too.
yeah, we do bar mitzvahs. I can get a pony if you need a pony for a show. I can probably find one.
And clowns. He's
it may
good
not
with
be
clowns.
may not be legal. It might be a non-legal pony. It might be 2 dudes in a suit, but it'll work. It'll work. Your kids won't be able to tell the difference.
We're creative.
So check us out next week on another episode of whatever this is called. Make sure you go check out this week's episode of Gonna See My Friends, where we talk about the Warriors in depth with good old Toby.
Tubes.
And remember, we're not mad, we're just disappointed. And we'll see you next week. Goodbye, everybody.